We're doing cold or hot?
This one is hot.
Hot. Okay, give me a second.
The criteria Latifi needs to do to get re-signed.
Not get last.
Oh, Spar's back and lights out and away we go. And Lewis Hamilton is halfway to space.
Personally, go IndyCar over Williams. At
Yeah,
this
base.
point.
Grosjean Zhu.
Guan Yu.
Guan Yu Zhou.
Guan Zhu Zhou.
No,
Zhou
Zhou Guan Yu.
I said that the first time.
George was already sitting in that seat.
Look, I don't agree with it, but you've asked a question. I'm trying to find a way to
And
justify
I'm just
it.
trying to absolutely tear your answer apart.
We're doing cold or hot?
This one is hot.
Hot. Okay, give me a second. G'day and welcome to Formula Bums. My name is Jacko, and with me, the full suite of the Formula Bums have arrived. Reese and Andy, how are we, gentlemen?
Howdy, I'm great.
You forgot Dave who's walking in. I made you look, cunt.
Bro, Dave's engaged.
Good on him.
He's out there doing real adult shit. But because we care, and what we've realised, now this might not apply to you two gentlemen because you're in a relationship. At this point, I'm also in a relationship. It's a love triangle between myself, Joss, and Christian. I don't know if you guys have heard. And that's all I'm saying on that.
So you're the wedge.
I may be.
I haven't heard that much about this, to be honest.
We're not really going to talk about it because everything is up in the air at the moment.
Oh.
And lots of things are being said pretty much across the whole entire sport. And Andy and I sat down and we began to read some of the things. We began to see some of the things, and we both looked at each other and went, I don't think we're really qualified to touch this.
We're not.
And then he was like, yeah, no, I'm good. So we've decided we'll make one silly joke and then move on.
Mm-hmm.
We know engines, we know cars.
You do.
Mm.
You do.
Also found something else, another GP that doesn't have an engine. Sail GP.
Oh, yeah, I did see that on TV.
Yeah. Sail GP. Well, we did say we wanted to have a little bit of a non-motorsport segment. So, enthrall us.
They were on Sydney on the weekend. I only found out about today. They had a little look up. But yeah, they were in Sydney, and then they just go around markers. But there's the same kind of inside right of way, and you have to like try get your nose in front. There's a
It looked cool.
yeah, it
What
looked
I've seen
cool.
of
I'm keen to watch more.
I've seen clips. I used to sail, actually, when I was younger. I don't know if I've ever told you boys this. I used to be a little sailor boy.
A seaman?
Huh?
A seaman?
No, that came probably age 12, 13, I reckon. That's when I... Oh, wait. No, yes. What you asked, yes. So, no, I sailed for a little bit. It was like little dinghies with a sail. Like, I'm not comparing whatsoever, but, like, sailing's fun. However...
He just didn't like spinach like Popeye.
No, I hate wilted spinach. I hate wilted spinach. It tastes like fucking fish.
He didn't eat wilted spinach.
I like normal spinach. It's just wilted. Eggs Benedict. This is important. Stop doing that. This is important. Eggs Benedict, very simple ingredients. And if anyone here works at a cafe and these aren't your ingredients, take a good long hard think about yourself. Poached eggs. Bacon.
Or salmon?
What?
Go on.
Bacon.
Sorry.
Eggs. Hollandaise sauce. Bread.
I mean, that's the basic staples of an Eggs Benedict.
What do you mean the steak? That is the Eggs Benedict.
I mean,
Eggs Florentine.
Oh my fucking god!
And spinach.
We're not a cooking show, for fuck's sake, and I don't have the energy or the patience with this because I've got a fucking pain in my side that's killing me,
Andy might have fractured a rib.
or a hernia, or an appendicitis, and I'm still fucking here.
You made it, but to be fair, this
all-
is your house.
Yeah, I didn't have to walk far.
Gentlemen, the season is on. Before we really get into that, a couple of preamble questions for each of you. Were you surprised?
No.
Yeah, me neither. And anyway, Saudi Arabia's next week, so we'll be back for that one too. Let's start at the beginning of the weekend. It was good.
I mean, FP1, they should have stopped the count then.
We knew. Yeah, FP1 was very indicative of what happened. Well, it
No.
wasn't.
FP1, they should have been like, no, race's over. These are the points because Danny won.
Danny did win practice one. He's got a couple of points because of it in our eyes. We're keeping our own World Drivers' Championship.
He has 25 points. No one else has any.
It was crazy, right? I can't believe he just got every point the first weekend. We will talk about Daniel and his teammate on this show because something happened on after the race, which we will get to. Free practice 1, I watched it. It was practice. Doesn't mean anything. Free practice 2.
Was practice. It doesn't mean anything.
We watched it. Doesn't mean anything.
It was more indicative of what qualifying could have been, just purely because of the timing. But that's it. It still meant nothing. It's like whose line is it anyway? Everything's made up and the points don't matter.
Yeah, really, in practice, it's all good. Then we got to qualifying. Did we do a free practice 3? I don't think
Yes, they do. They do free practice 3 of Saturday morning.
I didn't watch that one. I did not see that one.
Nor did I.
Friday.
I think Carlos got top in that one too.
I tell you what, Carlos got top driver of the week for me.
He was driver of the day.
He should. Yeah, bro. That was insane what he got up to.
I want to point out that in free practice, Max's car stunk and he thought he was going to lose.
Yeah, that's bullshit and you know it.
You know
All
what?
that was, hey, I need to abuse GP for about 10 minutes.
I think it's crazy how you do testing at Bahrain for 3 days and it's the best car that's ever been made, and then they roll it into a fucking shed for 4 days.
Yeah.
And when they wheel it out, Max is like, it's broken. It's like, no one's touched it. I did see that, and I don't know if this is true or not, because, you know, I look at meme pages and that's where I get my news from, that Christian has already come out and said, yeah, development's done for the year. We're done.
I doubt that.
I doubted it too, but here's the thing. With how good that car is, you probably could.
I mean, you could, but Christian probably won't be in charge anyway. So old mate, whoever it'll be, he'll be making developments.
Who would? This is our hypothetical of the week.
What?
You are Mr. Red Bull.
We're Massachusetts or we Thailand. It's very important here because Thailand owns 51% of Red Bull. It's like Thailand people. I don't know exactly who, but it's when it's talked about, it's the Massachusetts 49% and Thailand's 51%. So who are we? It's very
it depends
important.
because if I pick one, there's probably going to be an accent that we'll have to cut out, Andy. So I'm going to say the Massachusetts.
Okay, so you've only got 49% of controlling power of Red Bull.
Okay, now hypothetically,
If you have control of Red Bull Racing,
who are you bringing in as the next team principal of Oracle Red Bull Racing?
Gunter Steiner.
That's
ooh,
good. I didn't even consider that. I'm sorry, Gunter.
He's jobless. He needs a job.
He's
Why
a
not-
broadcaster.
Why not put him in the team that does the best and see him smile for once? And he doesn't have to call Jane. Jane,
No,
we a bunch of wankers.
I don't even want him in a team anymore. We have the best presenter for just, here's a mic and here's a camera, go and talk to people. Because I want to talk about some highlights from Gunter's career that some of us may have forgotten, some of us haven't. Here's a couple. He fox smashed my door. Fantastic. One of the best things that's ever been said in the sport. Last year I would have fucked, even though he said hugged, it sounded like fuck the grid for 2 points. And everyone laughed. He's like, whoa, what did I say? That is a man you just strap a GoPro to and release into the crowd every weekend and see what happens. No one's going to hurt him. Everybody loves him. It would be spectacular.
my pick.
Yeah, yours.
Little chaos. Jos Verstappen.
No.
No, yeah.
Get in the bin.
Do we have on the soundboard an air horn?
Throw him in jail.
So you're saying, Joss,
Oh, I'm just
you're insane.
throwing it out there.
I think I've stumbled upon the best idea. 1, it's a reunion of sorts. 2, I think we desperately need it back. And 3, they're already semi-involved with the team.
Seb.
No, that's actually a smart option. We let Jerry take over on the condition that all the Spice Girls come back and run it together.
Oh, I don't want that. I don't want that.
I think it would make the world a better place these days. Except for Victoria Beckham. I've never
I was
liked her.
going to say you're letting Victoria Beckham run your favourite F1 team.
No, not her. She can be poor in her Rolls Royce, like the documentary said.
Well-
Which, shout out to David Beckham, straight up threw her under the bus and be like, tell him what car it was. Tell him what car you got driven to school in. She had to say Rolls Royce. After she just said that they were a working class family.
That's gold.
So, I would also like to introduce Poor Spice.
Is that you?
Gunther Steiner. Because he currently is out of a job.
And he got no door to Fox Smash.
And man, look, if Gunther wants to be my lover, one of y'all has to get with him. So I'm just throwing it out there.
Okay, we're moving on from this because I don't need a fucking 1,000 Spice Girl things to cut out.
Well, I think that's all fine. Andy's just like, no, that part of the conversation is not allowed.
No, I don't want fucking lawyers coming after us.
All
We
right.
got no money.
Well, yeah, poor Spice. Let's talk about qualifying. Did you watch it?
No.
Did you watch it?
I did.
I watched it too.
Yeah, I enjoy qualifying. One of my favorite parts of the weekend.
It's fantastic.
Why? Max just puts it on pole and goes, fuck everyone else.
But he nearly didn't.
Yeah, that's the thing. He only does that at the end. Because this week, it was actually kind of competitive.
Yeah.
Run us through it. What have your notes? What have you taken on this?
My notes, the most interesting, the competitiveness of it was the top 8 was within half a second of each other. So it's less about the car and more about driver and errors and sort of thing. So I find that really interesting.
I don't want to make that mistake, actually.
No, you don't.
There was a few errors here and there. Leclerc, he was angry with himself.
Shocking.
The race was even worse. So I don't want to get.
We'll talk about how Leclerc's feeling soon.
But pole position wouldn't have mattered for him.
No, it wouldn't have. I like qualifying for a couple of reasons. One, you get to see every car, and you do get a little piece of every driver doing their best, which is exciting because sometimes it's Max Verstappen being one of the greatest drivers to ever drive a car, and then sometimes you get to watch a squid with 2 brain cells try and move a car around a field.
Are you talking about Stroll?
Yeah, and that's also exciting.
You're talking about the only person in the top 5 team that didn't get in the top 10?
Yes, I am. I was stoked when he dropped. Fernando qualified well.
Yeah.
Not as good as last year.
No.
And it's weird with Aston, right? Because Fernando Alonso is just an incredible driver. And I want to see him do really, really well. It's the team, right?
Let's be real. We all know the contract situation with him. He's waiting, 3 or 4 races before he comes up with his idea or what he's doing. Does he retire or does he go to Mercedes? Because he's not staying at Aston.
Mercedes is such a hard thing to pick at the moment because we already discussed Antonelli down in F2, and I don't know if you boys watched the F2.
He looked pretty good in it.
He looked okay. He actually, technically, he didn't look that good, but if you know Antonelli's career, that's exactly how he starts every year.
Yeah, he starts off pretty poor and then dominates.
And then 3 or 4 races and suddenly it clicks and then it's over.
Mm-hmm.
And it is just genuinely over. F2 was interesting. New cars. First time in a very long time we've got new chassis body shapes on the cars. They look great.
They still Motorchrome or Dallara or whoever it is?
Still Dallara.
Dallara, that's the one.
Still Dallara is the main manufacturer. But I think they're based in Italy.
Yes.
And they do pretty much everything F2 down. All the Euros, they make all the Euro, all the regional F4 cars.
They do one F1 team, though. Where do you think Haas gets its chassis from?
Oh, well, you know what? That explains so much. They're driving a fucking F2 car. It's half the
cheap.
horsepower.
It's cheap.
Yeah.
Gene likes to save money.
Then why is he in motorsport? That makes so much sense for Haas. Haas looked okay, though. Qualifying, they got some pace in that car.
Yeah,
but they had that last year too.
Hulkenberg has pace in that car.
Yeah, and there's not really pace. I reckon they have less deg, which makes them go faster for longer.
Yes, because Deg's the big thing about Haas was that for some reason they could make a set of hards last about 7 corners last year.
Yeah.
And it was less for the other compounds. This year,
It's 8 corners.
it's 8 to 9 corners, which if you're very, very lucky, that's a whole lap at Monza. That's all the corners at Monza.
You get 1 lap a dag.
1 lap a Deg. Bahrain, that surface is sandpaper though, right? When Brundle was doing his little walk around pointing at it, I looked at it, I was like, bro, if you trip on that, all skin is gone.
It's very abrasive.
It's very abrasive.
Speaking of Brundle, did you watch his walk?
I didn't see the grid walk.
I was skipping through it because I watched it well after the race had been done because, 2 a.m. in Australia, I ain't getting up for that shit. But he spoke to someone very important on the grid, someone who I look up to.
Oh, Jeremy Clarkson.
Jeremy Clarkson, yes.
I was going to bring him up in this too, our flag waver. Here's my highlights of Jeremy Clarkson at the F1. First of all, man was fucking tanked. He was blind drunk.
Somebody asked him on Insta, was just like, how many beers did you have? And he goes, yes.
Yeah, this is it, yes. So, what did Jeremy have to say on the grid walk, man?
He was just really excited to be in Bahrain and watch Formula One because he loves Formula One. You know, he's a genuine celebrity who gave a shit about the sport. And he was trying to talk how he spent his Sunday looking at lap times last year and looking at the qualifying times this year and figuring out who was doing better, and he couldn't come up with an idea who was better. He was stoked.
How nice.
He is more important than that fucking fat from fucking Florida.
I can't even remember who.
DJ Khaled.
Oh, DJ Khaled.
That fuckwit.
Oh, yeah, whatever.
I'm just loving to be here. The family and shit. No one gives a fuck. We're not Vin Diesel.
No.
Another one.
Another one.
I hope he's not there.
Better than Tim Cook, too. Tim Cook looked like he got wheeled out of a fridge and then wheeled into the box.
Clarkson just nearly missed Max. That was it.
Also, to be fair, because when you have to wave the flag for Max, you're also got to get it right because there's about 20 other cars in the way, a lap or so behind.
Exactly.
Like, Max finishes in the middle of the pack, a lap ahead. So, let's be real. Jeremy Clarkson couldn't see a goddamn thing.
No.
That's what they were doing. There's literally people being like, wave now, and he's like, red, and misses it, and then just waves once. Like,
Classy.
classic. No, I was so good to see. Like, does anyone here not love Top Gear Grand Tour? Like, it's such a good show. It was foundational for me growing up and getting into cars.
There's only one episode left.
I know.
It breaks my heart.
It breaks my heart, but do you know what the best thing about those guys are? You can go back to season 1, still relevant, still watchable.
Yeah.
They're that good. They're that good of presenters. I just wanted to see the three boys together there.
Oh, the other two don't like Formula One.
Well, that's a shame. That's a real shame.
Yeah.
Back to Mercedes. So one point I wanted to put, the whole Lewis leaving, Alonso might going there. Because do you reckon the Milky Bar kid is a number one driver? Do you
No,
reckon,
fuck no.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I reckon you'd put Alonso or someone experienced in there that can direct the team.
Yeah, look, he's got talent, and I can't deny the talent, but he's not a...
Call him what he is.
Oh, he's just a fucking... I hate him. I hate him so much, man. I hate him so much.
He is a domestic terrorist against Mercedes.
Which is crazy, right?
He
He's
likes to
technically an
blow up
insurgent
Mercedes.
then. Technically an insurgent. But political discourse aside, no. I would... Look, if you can snag Alonso for a year and you don't, you're insane in any team. If you can snag Carlos Sainz on any team and you don't, you're insane. Carlos Sainz is a fantastic driver. If you, like... Yeah. If I'm Alonso, I'm what, 44, 45?
42, 43?
Surely older than that. Listen, Lewis 44?
No.
Well-
Lewis is 36, 37.
Let's find exact age, right? Anyway, he's past the genetic athletic peak. That's not up for debate, right?
How dare you?
It's 35, bro. You know the rules. Ask Volk. Sorry. That was a bit mean, wasn't it?
That was me.
That was a bit mean. Sorry,
He's
Volk.
42.
42. So he's only got a few years left, really. If I'm
Man
Fernando...
could drive till he's 70. We both know that.
Look, he could.
He should.
Could.
He should.
But I'm just... One crash, man. Like, the body survives, the bones don't at that age. That's the thing.
Yeah, but you're not built like Alonso.
No, I'm not. I'm not 5'4".
Hamilton is 39, my bad.
Hamilton is 39.
I told you, he's like 30-something. And he's going to be 41 by the time he finishes his Ferrari deal.
He will be. So he'd still have another contract left in him too.
Theoretically.
Yes, theoretically. Look, if I'm Toto, I'm trying to do two things. One, I'm leaking every message I get my hands on. That's the first thing I'm doing if I'm Toto. I'm allegedly sending emails. I have them printed right here. Checo's on record. The second thing I'm doing is going, Antonelli, you will
Williams.
drive for this team.
Williams.
You're going to Williams first in a year or two. And then I'm just going to go Fernando, be like, name your price.
I mean, yeah.
Name your price for a year.
Or Carlos, name your price.
Where I think Carlos is less likely than Fernando in this situation is the simple fact that Carlos is young. He's a multi-contract driver. no matter what. Like, he's not going to. And you said earlier that he might have told.
Well, he wants a team that's good. He's coming into his prime. Like, if you think about it, his age going forward, he's in his prime for racing. Proved it on the weekend. He's going to want someone competitive, not fucking kick Sauber in the Audis and hope for the best.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, right? I would say he's after a multi-year contract with a top team. I don't know if Mercedes was willing to offer that when they've got Antonelli there. And
I'd take 2 years at Mercedes.
I'd
take 2 years at Mercedes.
I would too, but if Red Bull's saying 2 with us with extension,
Red Bull.
they might. Would you?
I mean,
if
In
you're
the Toro Rosso or
No, in fucking
in
Red
the
Bull.
Red Bull.
Him and Max were the first.
Instead-
We're in Toro Rosso together.
instead of Perez?
Yeah. Oh, no, yeah, instead of Perez. Yeah.
Never even thought about that.
Yeah. Well,
Well, he's on the market. They've clearly proven they won't go for Red Bull Juniors because...
they don't have anyone ready yet.
Yeah.
And also, they brought fucking Perez into the fold, didn't they?
Yeah. And he's just the number 2. Like, he's nothing special. He's number 2 driver.
Carlos is a number 2 driver who's very reliable.
Yeah.
Very reliable.
And he's raced with Max and kept pace with Max in 2016.
And if you heard last week's episode, not a big fan of Perez.
So, if I'm Carlos, I'm probably leaning closer to going back into the Red Bull fold. You're right where you need to be. Yeah, 2 years at Mercedes is sick, but that also leaves the question where, like, it is Antonelli's seat. There's no way that kid's not coming.
What if he goes to Mercedes, makes the Milky Bar kid look like shit, and Toto's like, oh, I'm going to take Antonelli over you? I mean, I can only get so wrecked.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very nice prospect for you. Now, I'm going to hate what I'm about to say, but in defense of George Russell...
How dare you try to defend
Fucking
George?
cut my mic. I don't think he's done anything
Okay, I'll stop.
worth firing for yet.
Quickly.
Bahrain being an example. Yes. Not the perfect weekend for any team that wasn't Max Verstappen in that one car. But the results are there. Are you willing to take a gamble on a driver who might not adapt to the car as well as George has?
Yes.
And that's what I've noticed. Because Oscar came in, I was big on Oscar, but F1 is a beast in itself. You need to know how to.
You be very
tame the
careful what
beast.
you're about to say, Oscar. You get cut
You
too.
just need to know how to tame it. It doesn't take one season. So to think Antonelli's going to come in and just destroy,
It's a valid point.
yeah, I just don't know if it's going to happen.
It's a valid point.
But also, fuck George Russell.
Yeah, but
Yep.
also, like, I can't stand that dude, man.
Sooner Osama bin ankle socks has gone, the better. Although Rocket Power Mohawk could lose half his jokes.
He honestly would. That man thrives on the fact that George Russell exists.
That and Lance Stroll being a window licker. There's his 2 main jokes.
And you know what? I'm about to say something else. I'm going to actually defend Lance Stroll.
No. No.
You probably should keep this one muted for a bit.
But I'm not going to do it now, and it will be very brief and very, very painful. You think you're in pain, man. This sentence that I've cooked up in my brain for later on in the show, if you're sensitive to gagging noises, don't listen because it's going to hurt coming out. But
This is bullshit.
let's talk about the grid that was set on the weekend. Pole position was Max Verstappen.
And the
Take it
rest
away,
doesn't matter.
Reese.
Rest don't matter.
What do I have?
I didn't even look at the grid. It's that unimportant.
I think
I
I'll
know
let you
Charles is on the
No,
second.
I should. Leclerc second. There should be a signs in there somewhere.
Science was definitely there. He
Yeah.
showed up.
He's
this weekend.
somewhere up
Milky
there.
Bar Kid.
Who cares?
Checo was in 5th, I believe. And Norris, Oscar. Lewis had the wrong setup on his car, he reckons.
Car was designed for racing, not qualifying.
Yeah, didn't race that well either, though.
But there is extenuating circumstances.
Yes. Then Hulk, and then Stroll. He had a good Q1, and then just tanked it in Q2 and didn't get through into Q3. Then
Love
Albon,
it.
Danny, and then there's other ones, but I don't think I
The
have
the
exact
main
order.
ones are in 19th and 20th
Yeah.
place.
Because then I think it just goes Haas, State Cars, and then Alpine.
Yes.
Which are,
Now, Alpine. What a weekend for Alpine. I'm glad we stumbled onto these teams.
L Plan.
L Plan. Right.
Alpine went to Aston Martin 2 years ago.
Here's the thing with Alpine, though. I think Fernando should stop with Alpine because it's not working.
Alpine, no.
He should listen to Ferrari and maybe check that shit for a little while.
Took 18 laps for him to check something.
we will, yes. So, how stoked are you guys to watch Alpine burn?
How stoked is Otmar to see Alpine burn?
Dude, Otmar and Cyril are sitting at home right now with their feet on the table being like, yep, that's what you get. It was such a bad weekend that the head of technical
Head of technical
and the head of aero resigned today.
because of how shit their car is.
Genuine actual fallout and consequences for the design of their car this year, which
Like resigned or voluntarily?
we
Resigned.
don't know.
Oh,
They
okay.
resigned.
Yeah,
Which
okay.
means it's a voluntary.
All that they said. But I think it
But-
was a sign here and nothing more will be said. Resignation. Which, as rough as it is for those two individuals, and now they have to go find more work, anyone at that level of professionalism is going to find more work.
Yeah, and F2.
Yep, so be it. But it's still, like, even if you're working in F2, you're still getting paid a lot of money.
Way more than me.
Way more than all of us.
If we put all our salaries together, we might get a third of what those pricks make.
Yeah, maybe.
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 It's a big maybe.
And that's gross, not net too.
Yeah, of
This is
course.
gross. I am actually kind of okay with the fact that there's genuine consequences for poor performance because for 3 years, every time we watch Ferrari, we've gone, why don't you just fucking fire one of them and be done with it? Like, actually go, no, you're not doing your job. It's not acceptable. You're not working here anymore. Alpine had one race. And they just went, nope, we're not doing that anymore. Because here's the thing that I think a lot of people have forgotten. How many celebrities invested in that team last year?
Oh, quite
So
a
many.
bit. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, fucking Ryan Reynolds, Ron McElhenney, to name a few.
Yep. So, you've got a lot of investors there who...
And you've got Taylor Swift invested too because Travis Kelce's bought in.
Yep.
That's what, 1 point something billion Swifties that'll hate you?
Also that, look, it's nice to see consequences for actions. I wish the two of them the best of luck. Like, I don't want them to suffer or anything. It's rough losing a job. But it is also nice to see a team take absolute responsibility and go, nope, we've identified what the issue was. This is unacceptable. It won't happen again. I don't feel bad for Ocon.
No, who would?
My heart goes out to Gaz. I feel pretty bad for Pierre. They should do a driver swap, put Lance back in that team.
What?
Put Pierre next to Alonso and put Stroll in the Alpine.
Stroll's never been in the Alpine.
I don't care. That's where he belongs. That or Logan's Williams.
Funny you should say that. We've been playing F123 and guess who got fired from his daddy's team?
So dreams do come true.
Yeah, and guess where he got sent?
Williams.
Yeah.
Back to Williams.
Back to Williams.
Which he doesn't belong in Williams because we like Williams.
But now.
Do you reckon F1 are kicking themselves not letting Andretti in and seeing this
Yes,
poor performance?
absolutely.
And just going,
Fucking
what
oath
have
they
we
are.
done?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. So here's why each team principal said no. Christian and Toto said no because they didn't want Andretti coming in and winning anything or challenging them. Everybody else said no because they knew they'd come in and get beaten by them. That is like, if I'm
They'd
sitting
lose
down
prize
there,
money.
they'd lose prize money. Like if I'm sitting there as the team boss of Stake going, oh, new team in the sport with billions of dollars of funding who really wants to be here and a great pedigree, I'm saying no. They're going to beat me. We clearly don't care about racing.
Gene doesn't want to be the only American team that doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
He wants to still be the American team, not the
Yeah.
one that doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, just the American team. Shall we talk about the race, boys?
Turn 1. Lap 1. It was a great moment. That was ruined by lap 57. Fucking Stroll spun out and was in last place. It was fucking fantastic.
It was, okay, so
It's the perfect start to the season.
it couldn't have gone any better. My favourite driver got a great getaway, got around turn 1. Race was over then.
Yeah.
Pulled like 2 seconds by turn 4. This is over. 6 seconds by the end of lap 1. Max Verstappen, see him on the broadcast like twice. Which again, now I'm going to open up some old wounds here. Sky clearly is biased because when Lewis was doing that shit, we had to watch him the whole race. Yeah.
And guess who we got to see a lot this race?
Lewis Hamilton,
Yeah.
not winning.
Doing fuck all. Getting past.
He was. So we saw Stroll get spun in the first corner.
And everyone around the world went, ha ha, suck shit, cunt.
They did until the unfortunate realization that it did lead to damage on both Nico and Valtteri's car.
I didn't care about that.
I did a little bit simply because I both like Hulk and Valtteri. I'm a
Yeah,
big
but they
fan.
were always going to end up at the arse end of the grid anyway.
You know what? That's actually a valid point.
It just sped it along.
It did.
It
What was-
promoted Danny. Who cares?
Danny Rick. Let's talk about this.
Big dick.
Good race. Yeah, solid.
Solid.
Those.
He wasn't happy with qualifying, what I watched as well. Like, and he wasn't
'cause he
that
went out.
happy in the race. Like, he knows that he's got. He's a great guy because he knows what he's doing and he's critical on himself, and then he pulls himself in and goes, "We can do this. We know what we can do. Like, I've analysed it. It was an error. This is the error. We'll fix it. Next race is ours."
I don't think this track suited that car. Because
No.
everyone's saying, it's like, oh, they've just copied the Red Bull from last year, but they've only copied the suspension setup, I think the engine and the engine mounting, but all the aerodynamics is done in-house, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still designed in-house. Look,
Which
it's-
is why it sucks.
It's closer to the Red Bull of last year. It's not really similar to the Red Bull this year because nothing's kind of similar to the Red Bull
Nothing
this
looks
year.
like that
I
fucking
would
beast.
say the Aston Martin last year looked more like the Red Bull than the Toro Rosso did this year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love-
the Minardi this year does not look that good, much like a fucking Red Bull.
It does not.
Except for the fact it's got Red Bull on the side.
That car looks stunning on track, doesn't it?
Oh,
Every
and
time it's
Visa.
on camera, it looks fantastic.
I tell you what, I always think about Visa when I see it,
I don't think I've ever thought about Visa in my entire life.
but you just see a big Visa on the
You
side
do.
of the fucking
I've
car.
thought about downloading the Cash app.
Have you?
Yeah.
Josh doesn't listen to the show, so this joke won't land with anybody. But if you got Beam it, look, solid race for the both of them. Yuki
Fuck
up until
Yuki.
up until the checkered flag, Andrew.
Nah, up until he got told to fucking let Danny by because he was
That's
on a
actually a
different
good point.
strategy, and then Yuki had a fucking sook, and he was like, no, I'm not fucking doing that. I'm going to pass Magnussen. Doesn't pass Magnussen. Lets Danny through. Too late. Danny's tyres are cooked, and fuck Danny over.
Right, that's a good point.
Fuck Yuki.
I forgot about the shenanigans.
Mr. Maturity, who we gave a huge rap to and then proved us immediately wrong. Fuck him.
We got to stop backing people. I swear to God, every time we're like, you know what, I think this kid's going to make it, goes horribly wrong.
Oh, I think Lance Stroll's going to make it.
Yeah, you've just stolen my next line of thinking. We have found the driver to support, gentlemen.
This is the Lance Stroll fan podcast.
And secondary Esteban Ocon podcast. You know what? It doesn't matter if we pick him. He struggles anyway.
Sorry, made me laugh.
After the checkered flag went, Yuki had what I want to call
A bitch fit.
a brain snap. A brain snap. I'll run you through it, Andy. I think you're a bit too heated for this part.
Fuck him.
After the checkered flag, Daniel Ricciardo was doing the cool down lap. Race is over. Yuki sends it up the inside and dive bombs him into a corner.
Wasn't doing a cool down lap.
Locks it up.
Locks it up. Danny gets on the radio and goes, "Oh, don't worry, I'll save this." Gets out of the way, adjusts the
No.
car.
He goes, what the fuck? You know what? I'll save it.
I'll save it. What a helmet was the last bit. For anyone who
Was he talking about Helmet Marco?
No.
No, okay.
he was talking about a penis. He called him a dickhead, is what he called him.
Because it was bleeped out the word before, and I didn't know.
Yeah, he said fucking helmet. And
That's
yeah.
fucking gold.
Yeah,
to
so
be
called him a
honest.
fucking dickhead. Insane. So
Just
yeah,
so the people on the radio knew.
yeah. Well, that was the best part about it because F1 is so international. Everything ends up on Reddit or Insta. So you've got this weird mix of cultures where people are like Helmet, and a lot of people are like, "Why do you bring Dr. Helmet Marco into this?" And then there's a lot of Aussies being like, "He didn't," and British because it's also a British slang too. It's like, no, he didn't. That means dick. So anyway, we're all off Yuki. Can't wait to see Liam Lawson in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I know,
Because,
right?
dude, I am making that switch straight away because here's what they've done to help Yuki mature.
Send him to Birmingham.
Said, well, that's never going to make anyone mature. You ever met anyone from there? They got him a sports psychologist so halfway through the first year, all of second year to work on his mentality. It was going well. He had one piece of bad news, and this is why I think it was such a silly mistake is, yeah, it's rude and stuff, but It's a cool down lap. Your drivers aren't paying attention, so no one's ready for it. You put Daniel's health at risk. You put your health at risk. You put both cars at risk of insane financial damage.
1 week out from a very dangerous track.
1 week out from possibly the most scary track to drive on with how blind Jeddah is. And you still didn't admit you did the wrong thing. Like, it's just, I get angry. I've got a hell of a temper. But, you know, after my little outburst, I'm normally like, yeah, that probably wasn't the best decision to make.
For me, if I was running it, I would be annoyed at him or frustrated. I'd change him to Liam Lawson because none of it was for points. It's not like you're balanced. It's when you're not in the points, it's for the team. And if the team tells you to change, it's for data. It's for many things.
It was literally just to try and get an extra position or two with a person with better compound tyres on.
But even the data of overtaking a few positions or something like, it's not for points. They were 13th and 14th.
Yes, championship position. That was it.
Yeah, no, it's good points from both of you because, one, the information you get is always valuable. We get to see what this car's like passing a near-field competitor because those Haas's were better in race pace this year. That rear tyre issue, they haven't fully fixed it and the car's still a bit of a dog, but they are better, far better than they were last year.
Better than Alpine.
To be fair, bro, I think my shopping troller's faster than Alpine. The one I take around to Audi, that has far more downforce on it. So there's that aspect of it. And yeah, the other, like, there's the main point where it's just like, Danny even came out and said, he's like, we weren't even battling for points. If the team said give it back, I would have happily given it back. It doesn't matter to me. Which,
you know, it's about giving the opportunity to potentially progress because everything people are forgetting is Yuki had 10 laps before that to get past Magnussen. He's on his ass for 10 laps. About half a second behind. You have 10 laps to get by him and you still didn't.
And Danny closed that 10-second gap, or like those 10 laps. He closed the gap to those guys in 2 or 3 laps. He was coming pretty quick. So it was really disappointing from Yuki overall. The positive of it, Daniel just handled himself like he always does. Super class.
And also they had Dum Dum from Ferrari in charge, and that's probably why the call came so late to change position.
It was. Even the commentators brought it up. Crafty and Brindle were like, yo, if you reckon France would have made that call earlier? Martin was like, oh yeah, like 10 laps ago. So there's that aspect of it. Brundle had a great weekend. I want to talk about that.
He seemed to have fun.
Brundle had a great time. I think quote of the year already from Brundle. Oh, he seems to be driving that car by Braille when Valtteri just kept crunching into the back of Hulk in that first corner incident. He just hit him, drove a little bit, hit him again, hit him a third time, and then went around the side. That comment genuinely made me laugh at 2 a.m.
Oh, did you stay up till 2 a.m?
It was a bit of an experience. I stayed up. I made it. I was not sober. The race started. I saw it. I was like, hell yeah, I made it. Fell asleep instantly. Woke up at about lap 30. Went back to the start. Watched up until lap 10. Fell asleep. Woke up the next morning and actually watched it. So I've watched the race sort of 3 times.
Classic.
Other big takeaways from this weekend?
Charles's brakes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was a braking imbalance on the front and rears, and that caused Charles to lock up, 5 times at turn 10, a few more times that we didn't see off the feed, and genuinely took pace off him. Shut up, phone. I don't know what that was. But all of a sudden, Max's top contender is nowhere. His next biggest contender is overheating in his engine.
Yep.
Like, Max was always going to win by 20 fucking seconds.
And this is the point. I think this is the biggest takeaway from the weekend is, yes, Max's car is the best, and chances are he's going to win every weekend unless something goes horribly wrong. But we also didn't get to see Ferrari and Mercedes at full strength. The 2 nearest rivals, we had, like, Carlos was on fire. His car was perfect, and we saw what that Ferrari was capable of. If he started in second and stuck on Max and DRS range the whole race, maybe there might have been something there. Unfortunately, started a few places back, put on an insane overtake on Charles. Yeah. Pulled up behind him for about half a lap, went, team orders, and then he went, you guys fired me. Watch this. Went up this awesome overtake, and then legged it up the track, came out of the pits, did it again. Carlos was I was in love with watching him race that Ferrari this weekend.
Did you see what happened in the post-race, though?
Yeah, Max's reaction to the overtake?
No,
what happened?
Carlos got out of the car to celebrate with his team, and they were nowhere to be found.
Oh.
Yeah, I saw that.
was
I
just
didn't like that.
Yeah, it's a bit harsh.
They did rock up shortly afterwards, though. They
he's-
were running down the pit to get there.
Because he's fired? I don't.
Now, see, under Mattia, I would have gone 100% this is a knife in the back for attacking my boy Charles. I
Under Fred.
genuinely think that they were like, oh, good race. And they were like, oh, fuck, Carlos. You know what I mean? Like, they were just packing things up. They're just like, oh, well, on to next week, eh, boys. Like, oh, shit, we came third.
They thought they had 30 more seconds because.
Yeah. Mercedes also was struggling all race.
Yeah, overheating. Overheating in the Milky Bucket, overheating in Hamilton. And his battery had an issue at one point too. He overdrained it or some shit.
So he did overdrain it. He originally said, I've got no power, man. What's going on? And everyone's like, oh, no, there's something wrong with the battery. And they called Zach Brown. They called the Williams. And everyone was talking to each other. And then they came out and be like, no, Lewis, you just pressed the button too hard. You used all of it.
Yeah.
And then they had to rebuild it, which led to that interesting discussion. What was the D word they used to describe that
fuck.
charging aspect?
I know the word you're talking about.
Yeah.
Fucking, I don't know.
Do you remember?
No, I don't.
So when the battery goes under a certain point, it needs to recover it in a different way, and it uses more of the mechanics of the wheels. And as you come into the corner, you can feel like a noticeable shift in the balance of the car because it's taking that power from the wheels in a more direct fashion or something like that, where normally it charges through the heat of the braking and a little bit, but this one seems to draw so much more from it. You can feel it. And it was D something or other was the word that they were talking about. And then Martin and Crofty were like, oh, can you really explain? They're like, no, we need Ant. Ant's the only one who understands how this works. So that happened. It turned out he was pressing it too hard or used too much of it and needed a larger reset. Initially looked like battery issues, but it turned out it was just overheating.
Yeah. Mercs were overheating because Williams was also overheating, as shown on Albon's wheel, because they rode on board and it's just like car too hot. It was just displayed on the wheel the whole time.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, maybe you should probably cool the car down, bro.
Hey, did you notice Williams has a new steering wheel?
They announced that a few weeks ago. Dash on the wheel for once.
Yep. It looks good.
I don't know why they had no dash on the wheel.
Cheaper.
Cheaper. It's obstructed when you turn the wheel.
Yep. It costs heaps less. That's 100% why.
Fucking stupid.
Because those wheels, even though they're incredibly manufactured, one wrong knock is probably enough to bust the LCD in it, right? Whatever that screen's made
No, they're
out
pretty
of.
tough.
I know they're tough, but the chances of breaking the steering wheel versus breaking that part of the car, I would bet that wheel's easier to break than that part of the car.
Well, considering Dum Dum threw his fucking wheel last year in Qatar when he got knocked out in Q1 and it still worked.
Yeah, but they don't turn his screen on. He can't read. It doesn't matter. It's just a smiley face. That's all that shows up. You're doing great, son. That's it. That's the only thing on his steering wheel. So, yes, Mercedes overheated. Ferrari overheated. Williams overheated.
Sargent had a bad time. Nearly got our first flag and didn't get any flags after that.
Yeah. He went off the track, and I initially went, like, he's just driven it off the track. And then he sat there for a little while, and I was like, is he having, like, the best temper tantrum of all time? Is he literally doing a Hakkinen and being like, I'm done, and just leaving the car there and walking away? Turns out the car overheated and turned off. I didn't see that bit. I just saw him go off.
He just needed to reboot the bloody thing.
Yeah.
Do you reckon some team strategies had a safety car in it?
Always.
All of
Yeah,
them
and-
did. You've got at least plans C, D, and E.
Because that would have made the race so much better. Just saying.
Yeah, it would have. It would have. I still think the results wouldn't have changed a huge amount. Maybe a couple of other passes lower in the grid. Danny would have gone up a little bit more. We might have seen like the Haas's pinch someone at the end, possibly. But for the most part,
Just more action though.
yeah,
That's
more
it.
action. That's really it there, right?
Man, it was just a parade. Let's be real. That whole race was a parade with like 45 overtakes.
There was a few overtakes, but no
But
battles.
they were all over Alonso.
Alonso got overtaken heaps.
He was overtaken the most out of every driver.
Was there anything wrong with the Aston, or is it just
Yeah,
the
it's
fact
an
that okay.
It was developed by Aston Martin. There's the first mistake. The second car has the problem being driven by Lance Stroll.
Well, here's that part of the show I warned you boys about.
Hold up, mute. Go for it.
What happened was essentially he went back to last. He ended up getting it back to 10th. And that's all I want to say about that. That happened.
weak-gutted dog.
we were watching it, we cheered, we were like, yes! And then slowly he chunks himself up the order. Not through on-take overtaking, mind you. Mainly just the pits. Good strategy. Got back to 10th, which I think we can each give ourselves a point from our 20-1 because we 100% said last week, each of us, that no, he sucks, but that car is still better than 10 of the other people's.
I didn't say that.
Didn't you?
I had him in 7/8. I stand by it too. He'll still finish 7/8.
Plenty of
He
time
will
left.
still finish 7/8. That car will blow up at least 23 more times.
Fingers crossed.
I saw him in the post-race interview.
And he didn't care. Yep, move on.
He needs to shave that beard off. It's disgusting. He needs to work out what he's doing with his life and get out of the car. But he looked like a ringed out wet rag, not just a really, really wet. Yeah.
He looked like a dopey sock.
So I guess this is the part of the chat where we need to be really realistic about next week, and I'm not moving on from discussing anything that happened in the race, but Jeddah is also in the desert. It's also very hot.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if there's problems that affected the cars this week directly affect the teams next week.
So I think McLaren was in P2. It was cooler conditions, and their car started running really well. And I don't think the race conditions got that cold.
No.
get in there.
The problem with McLaren is the way that they enter slow corners. They talked about this all throughout the whole post show. They enter the slow corners. They have to take a different angle to everyone else because of the way the car handles, which slows them down by about 3 to 4 tenths.
Okay.
So compared to the rest of the field, they suck at any track that has a slow corner heavy thing like Bahrain does because there's a lot of slowing down, turning around hard corners and stuff. McLaren were happy where they finished because they're like, yeah, this is about the best we could do here.
Yeah. And they both said that.
And you know what? How good was it to see that they were like, this is the best we could do. 2 points finishing. Oscar stayed right near Lando the whole race. If you're a McLaren fan or if you're like us, bandwagoners,
Yeah.
doesn't get much better than that from where they started last year because last year we all went, they're washed.
Yep.
They did exactly like they were the Alpine of last year. The only difference is
They fixed the car.
they're a really good racing team. They're really good at what they do. And they're a previous very competent world championship
Well, I
winner.
mean, the Enstone team is also a competent world championship winning team. They won 2 with Fernando.
Yes. Because it was Fernando.
Yeah, I know
That's
that
why.
as well.
It's also Fernando. That was, a significant thing. Albon. What a ripper.
What did you say? Oh, Albon.
Yeah, Albon. Great race. Like, even with overheating issues,
Because he couldn't pass anyone.
and still did really, really well.
He just had to defend. and he
Oh,
did-
dude, he was great. Now, steak.
I've had a change of mind. The car's not that great, and I saw their uniform, and it is horrible.
Told ya.
Is fashion
Fucking told ya.
design a position in an F1 team?
At AlphaTauri it was, yeah.
They need. It is. Yeah, it's
It's
ugly.
disgusting,
The,
right?
Yes.
the race suits are horrible.
Everything about it is horrible.
No, man. Hey, last year, how many times did you recognize the Sauber on track?
Yeah, pretty much every time
No, you
because it
didn't.
was pretty distinguishable.
It wasn't black.
It was black and red.
No, it was white and red.
No, it was black.
Last year was black and
Okay,
red.
never
The
mind.
year before was white and red.
Yeah, this year
So
it
yeah,
was
that
black and
answers
red.
my question. You don't even know what the fucking car looks like. You can't watch F1 and not go, well, that's the state car. That thing stands out so much. I'm a big defender of it.
I'd rather vomit than look at that car. It looks disgusting. Lime green and black should work, but it doesn't.
Oh, it needs heaps more work. That design could be so much better. I'm just thankful that I can easily go, I wonder how Valtteri's doing. I go, there he is. They're right there. Like,
Well,
I
his
can just
name's
see.
on the damn wheel. The top of his steering wheel has Valtteri on it. You didn't notice that, did you?
No, I didn't.
You didn't notice it in the onboard of the Turn 1 crash, and it's just like Valtteri's just like stricken across the top of
No,
his
because I'm
wheel.
not looking at the steering wheel. I'm looking at the first-person perspective, imagining myself crashing into something like that. Looks great. Like, I disassociate so quickly. I'm like, yeah, if I was driving, I would have just kept my foot on the throttle and really spun it up. We're not winning anyway. It can be better. I will admit. I'm just saying,
be a lot better.
very easy to pick out on the screen. Very easy to pick out on the screen. The Alpine,
Dog shit.
oh, it's horrible.
Fugly, I think is the word you used.
Yeah, I did. Actually, that was my very first show note of the year was Alpine is ... fugly. And slow. 19th and 20th for those boys?
Qualifying, yes. They finished higher up.
Because Bottas,
Bottas and
He
fucking Sargent
crashed.
came last.
yeah, wing broke, and then also Nut did not go on car.
No, nut fell out of wheel. They had to replace the whole damn wheel, which would that change every tire on the damn car.
It was a disappointing pit stop.
52
And also,
seconds.
When they ripped the tire off, those brakes were on fire.
Actually, Martin had another fucking classic call in that because he's like, I believe Valtteri has the pit stop record for longest pit stop by a day and a half.
I think he has longest pit stop 1 and 2.
would.
1 and 2 positions for longest pit stop. One of them being a week, where they had literally just had to cut the suspension off the car to get the wheel off.
Monaco.
Yeah, but here's the weird thing, right? It's the same thing with Ferrari, that Doofenshmirtz joke, where it's like, if I had a nickel for every time Ferrari was screwed over by a drain carver, I'd have 2, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice. That's the same thing that happened to Valtteri, where it's like, man, this has only ever happened twice to you, but you're the only person this has ever happened to, and it's weird that it's happened twice.
Man, if I had $1 for every time fuck Ferrari, I'd be rich.
Bro, if we had $1 for every time Ferrari made a stupid decision, we'd just buy Ferrari.
I know, right? And then we could make the stupid decisions.
Absolutely. What lap was it we got our first checking?
Lap 18.
18! Well, actually, that was the first broadcast checking. Now, allegedly, I have a distinct suspicion might have been thrown out a bit earlier than that.
Why do you say that?
Well, Charles is driving a Ferrari. That pretty much means he would have hopped in the car and he's like, what tyres am I starting on? And they would have said, we're checking.
That's
I think
actually a
they
good
forgot what
point.
tyres they put on the car.
That's a good point with Ferrari.
Everybody started on the same tyre.
Softs.
Everybody. That doesn't happen often.
Yeah, but it's because the medium tyre at this track is not a race tyre. It just, for some reason, doesn't click as well as the softs. And the hards last longer. So you always got the soft, hard, or soft, hard, or soft, hard, soft like Danny and the Red Bulls.
I didn't take note, but is it still the qualifying that they have to use?
No,
No.
they dumped that at the start of last year. Was it last year or the
Yes.
year before?
They brought it back a bit last year.
No, they've dumped that rule.
We've actually done some research, Reese, on some of your comments.
You were wrong.
I was wrong.
We did, yeah. So,
I was looking for it. I couldn't find what I was
well,
talking
what
about.
we
to be honest.
think has happened is because you took a year off, you've crossed the timelines in your brain because you're correct about the tyre compound changing the year before last.
Because they went from 16-inch wheels to 18-inch wheels.
No, I was thinking about something else. I know what you're talking about.
You could be thinking about something else, man, but we can't find a single hint
No,
of what you think you're talking about.
I couldn't either. I couldn't either, but I know that
He's still standing by it, but there's zero proof of there being tyre changes
Which-
last year.
As a man, I absolutely respect.
yeah.
Do I have to read my quote from work earlier today after an argument with some people who were wrong? My final quote to end this argument was, just admit you're wrong and move on.
I'm happy to move on.
When was the last time you took your own medicine, motherfucker?
Never. Because I'm never wrong.
Well, that's what I always say is like, no, I'll admit when I'm wrong. It just hasn't happened yet.
Exactly.
Like the first time I'm wrong about something, I'll admit it. I will be perfectly humble
I'm getting death stares now.
about admitting I'm wrong. Yeah, Renee is not happy with us.
I think it's me.
Yeah, well, I hope it's you, because if it's me, I'm heaps scared of her. Any other drivers you boys want to talk about?
Nah.
Did you see anything else?
There was
Joe?
He was pretty good.
It was
Like-
actually his best race.
It was interesting to see
Scored
him.
points on debut, and he finished 11th in this. Technically,
He seems getting better, and it's interesting seeing Sargent being unexperienced. And when I started watching it, he was in that position.
Yeah,
and
Joe
he's
was the
grown,
rookie.
and then so it's kind of growing, and it's interesting to see someone grow. Not a awesome driver, but
No,
probably
and
good for a state car.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like, I think even Joe knows that he's like, look, I'm not world championship potential. I'm just in the top 20 drivers of all time, so I'm going to do this while I can.
which is till the end of this year.
Yeah,
when he gets
probably.
sacked.
It's probably end of this year to be a full clean out of steak from top to bottom. I don't know if anyone's coming back next year.
Yeah, Seidel.
He's
Seidel
good.
will
I
be
like
the only
Seidel.
one who'll come back next year.
We're a big fan of Andrea Seidel here, but since he left McLaren got heaps better. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, because of the fucking wind tunnel he had built.
That's actually a valid point.
He's the one who championed having that, and then just before it was built, he's like, I took a job at Sauber. And now he's probably wishing he was back at McLaren.
He's sitting at Sauber being like, Fuck, I could go for another wind tunnel right about now.
I know, right?
Oh.
What do you think is going to happen at Jeddah besides Max winning?
I think we will see retirement. I think there will be heat-related retirement in the race. It'll be a Mercedes-powered car,
Lance Stroll.
hopefully.
George Russell.
Also would be fine. Lewis, that's okay too. Pretty much anyone except for Albon and Piastri and Norris. That'd be
No,
okay.
Lewis. I'll take a Lewis. I'm coming around on Lewis.
I still like Lewis.
He hasn't won in a while, so I'm like, you know what, Lewis is all right.
Yeah.
Hopefully just a bit competitive race with this track being a Red Bull track and Jeddah. And we're talking
Jeddah-
about, they don't have slower corners.
Yeah, exactly. It's a
Right.
very quick track, so McLaren
Yeah.
should be challenging. Ferrari can figure out their Ferrari issues, will be good. So I think they need to get a black car, which is a Mercedes. That'd fix Ferrari's issues.
Well, that was what was interesting, right? Is Ferrari weren't as shambles as much as they were last year.
Yeah, because they got rid of the head shambler.
And a couple of the lower shambles too.
Exactly.
They weren't as much of a shambles. And let's be perfectly honest, yes, there was an issue with one of the cars.
The one they care about.
The one they care about. But Carlos's car worked beautifully all race. And his strategy was pretty okay.
Did Carlos come up with a strategy?
Probably.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Probably. I don't even think they had his radio on, man. They didn't rock up when he came third.
Speaking of radios, Sergio,
Oh, yeah,
We did miss
Checo's
this.
radio.
before we finish up, because we're going to call it after this, Sergio was yelling at his team lead engineer, whatever,
Engineer.
to speak up. He couldn't hear him. While Hugh Bird is yelling at him, yo, what are you saying?
It was the most geriatric conversation you've ever heard. Checo's like,
Why,
bro, you need to yell at me. I can't hear you. And the engineer's like, what's that? You need to speak up. And Checo's like, I can't hear you. And then the camera cuts to Peter Kay as someone's running up with another radio,
Hoping this works.
hoping it works.
Must have, because he ended up coming second.
It's a good race. F1's back.
Back, baby.
I like it. We've got Jeddah next week. Very excited.
4 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, I'm not actually that excited. We
But-
have Jeddah next week.
But it's on Saturday. It was
It's
funny
a
seeing the
Sunday
commentators
morning.
mech up all the days throughout the weekend. But yeah, it's on Sunday morning here. So I'm going to wake up and spend my Sunday morning doing that again.
It was
It was
great.
very enjoyable.
Enjoy that, because I got to work 9 till 1 that day, so I'm not doing that.
I'm doing that, and I'm looking for. It's nice to wake up and watch a race. The last thing I wanted to talk about before we wrap this up is thoughts on the broadcast, because I tell you who I really enjoyed this weekend.
Not saying Paul DeResta. I've enjoyed that for a year.
I enjoyed that. Corinne Chandok at the Sky Hub.
He's
He's so good.
Him and Ant in that are good.
He's so good. Every time they cut to Karoon, he's just like, here's the information you want to know. Here's how it's been going. This is what the teams are doing about. I think he's fantastic.
You know who I'd like to get on a race for a mic?
Yep.
Well, Mike for the race. Nico Rosberg, Jensen Button,
Yeah.
and Lewis Hamilton in the same room.
Yes.
I don't know how that's going to go, man.
I think it'd be great, because Jensen would be trying to call the action. Nico would be like, man, I beat you in similar machinery in 2016. Do you know that?
And Lewis would be replying
I'm an
with,
I'm a six-time world champion.
and I'm knighted, motherfucker. Because that's the thing, right?
And I'm from Germany that lives in Monaco.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, cool. Other takeaways from the weekend, just before we do finally wrap up, which now I've completely forgotten.
Follow us on socials. Visit our website. I don't know.
That's good. No, that's good. I wasn't going to say that either. But yeah, Formula One's back. I enjoyed it. Muted the Dutch National Anthem. Forgive me.
I turned it off.
Yeah, forgive.
I was just like, fucking.
I'm not watching that. Here's a fun fact. Red Bull has now won the same amount of races as Williams. Over 114 races.
Yeah,
And it was another Grand Slam for Max,
that's his 5th.
which I think he only needs like another 19 to catch up to Lewis with that. So there's still records there on the table. And we will see you all after next week when we watch Jeddah.
Yay! Crash it.
See you.
Red
See ya.
flags.